Hello, welcome to my video blog where we sit at the intersection of faith, Christianity, and the LGBT community. A lot of things have changed besides the decor. I've been decorating a lot of my house lately, just with just the last couple months. And I guess I have three things that kind of went on. The first one would be I want to talk about is the kind of asexual friendship slash relationship slash codependent friendship, whatever I want to call it. It was about 1.5 years long. The person that I was friends with got married, and I was actually quite happy for him. And I got to go out or drive 6 hours to go see him get married, and then drove back. And I had a good time. But the thing is, I look back on that friendship, I'm like, that friendship was actually quite intimate. And I've been somewhat reluctant to interpret things that went on in that friendship as a relationship. But in some ways, it was much more intimate than my second experience that I had, which I was bad and had an intimate hookup and lost my virginity. So with that in mind, that was actually much less intimate, and it's also somewhat embarrassing because I was not able to finish. And I'm pretty sure it was not performance anxiety. That might be TMI, but that actually was the last straw and finally spurred me to go to the doctor and start testosterone replacement. I got tested about 9 months ago, and I tested low, and then I had a bunch of other tests, like my thyroid, and an ultrasound on it. I had a couple panels of blood work. Everything came back normal except my testosterone. And then I had a sleep study, and so it wasn't like diabetes or wasn't anything, all the symptoms I had, which it was unusual stress response, like I felt like my body was falling apart. 5 to 6 hours fragmented sleep, so I'd wake up in the middle of the night and couldn't go back to bed. I'd wake up and I wouldn't feel restful. I always had a poor mood in the evening, like I felt stressed after coming home from work when work was not stressful. I ended up gaining a lot of weight in a few of those rebound periods after I would have certain symptoms, which can happen when your estrogen rebounds or your testosterone rebounds as you put on weight. And also, I never saw any gains in the gym, and I was a little confused about that. Like, I tried putting on muscle, and my diet was on point, and my training was with a elite FTS team member, awesome organization, they're a powerlifting organization, and the person I was with knew his crap, and I was definitely doing everything I needed to do and eating everything I needed to do. It's just my body did not respond. Like, I got some benefits, but not what I would think would be expected. Like, I gained no muscle my first year of lifting, and it was very much probably hormone related, where I just wasn't recovering, and I wasn't sleeping, so I wasn't recovering from that, and the hormone level was low, so I wasn't recovering as well from lack of hormone. But that's a whole side tangent. It's one of my other hobbies. So when I ended up losing my virginity, and I'm like, it was kind of a little bit of a letdown, but quite literally. It spurred me on to start testosterone. And when I did, I pretty much realized that, or like I kind of knew I had a low libido, but I realized that I'm not actually asexual or demisexual. I believe I'm actually just a normal hot-blooded male when my testosterone's where it should be. So with that in mind, I think it's important to realize that homosexuality is not about the excess of lust, not even to any degree. And I don't know really how to communicate that, but it is. And also, I wanted to talk about it because I've all these things because I've committed to being open and honest and having integrity, and as much as I can, though I at times will need to ask for forgiveness, primarily from the Lord. And you need grace for the past, you also need it for the present, and you need it for the future, and you always need Christ in that, and that has not ever changed. So, even though I regret those actions, at the same time, it spurred me on to finally resolve my health instead of let it drag out some longer. And it's been life-changing beyond testosterone, even a small amount. And I don't know what to say about it. Then a lot of my life has been kind of like Pinocchio. Like I started off almost autistic, where I didn't understand my own emotions and I couldn't communicate very well. And then like I reached a point where I had shut down emotionally, and when I opened up, it's like the world changed. I actually started having relationships and friendships and stuff with people, and like now I'm much more of a sexual being, and not because I lost my virginity, but because my sexual desire is where it should have been. And I'm actually understanding that sexuality is almost, at least for me, almost all about nuance. And it's easy to think in black and white views about sexuality, but it really isn't. So, and what else? I think the other thing that had happened is, I think when I was more asexual, I almost felt the world was a lot more cold, at least affectionately and etc., especially towards adults. It's like, no one's loving at all. And I think sex is this weird thing where it does tell you people are loving, but it also tells you that people can be cruel. Like it's kind of this weird paradox, because like rape is cruelty and that can stick with someone, or it's loving intimacy, which is something else, or it intensifies that. But I don't know. I don't necessarily have a super sex positive view, and at one time I thought that is what would change me from being non-affirming to affirming. It wasn't sex positivity. Like I think I realized what sex was in some means, but not all of them. What really changed my view was, and still is, the moral argument about LGBT people, who need grace when they make mistakes as well. So, I guess kind of going around full conclusion, so I started on hormones that I probably should have had to begin with, but didn't, floating around. I saw a good friend get married, and the virginity thing. And at this point, it's like changed my self view of my sexual identity to be more typical, not normal. I might have said that by accident earlier. More typical. And like I'm trying to figure out, should I reinterpret that more asexual relationship, friendship, in any other way? And like that was not sinful, whereas the sex thing was. But the not sinful thing was more intimate. But if sex is not supposed to happen because of the intimacy it fosters and the oneness it fosters, then it's like the nitty gritty comes down to only because God said so. And I don't know, and I'm sure people have thought about that before when they have sex positive views, but I don't feel like I do have one. But anyway, I thought I'd leave you with that kind of quandary of mine. And I guess as like a call to action, it's good to have boundaries. And sometimes you don't know where they are until afterward. But if you do make mistakes, learn from them. And I don't know what else to say, so I'll leave you with that.